Welcome to the Speak Her Podcast with your host, Camille Essick, the podcast where innovators and creators connect. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Happy Wednesday. I know we're normally on Thursdays, but we're doing something a little different just because we can. So it's Wednesday. I'm Camille Essick. I'm host of the Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast where innovators and critics connect. What I need you to do right now, I need you to hit that notification bell and subscribe. Follow me. We're on Facebook at the Speaker Podcast as well as YouTube. I'm on Instagram and TikTok at Camille.Essick, and I would love to hear from you. You can send me an email at thespeakerpodcast@gmail.com. Have some amazing things coming up. We released some new digital products. They're available on my website, and I'm working on some things behind the scenes, you all. It's kind of major. So I'm waiting for some things to clear. And then once those things are complete, I'm going to make that announcement online. And if you are a subscriber, you're going to get the news first. So March is going to be very interesting. So with that being said, she is no stranger to the show. She is literally like sister soul, sister friend. She is a social media guru, author, NBC correspondent, like all the things. So if you have not heard of her, you're going to find out tonight. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I call her Dr. ROSHANDA Pratt. Hi, sis.
Hey, sis. I'm so glad to be back. You know, in that introduction, you named all the things except auntie. I think I have come to realize in this stage of life that I am the auntie to many of you who are watching this live or in the replay, and even to you, Camille. So you were introducing me, but I was like, man, she didn't say that I'm auntie. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I mean, you are. I'm like Niecy Pooh. So yes,
Right.
absolutely. And first of all, your book. Let's talk
Mhm.
about it. We're going to talk about it at the end. But if you are a digital content creator, blogger, YouTuber, podcaster, you need to get this book. It has so many gems. And Ro can tell you because she looks at my social media. I've been implementing what she's been telling. First of all,
So
tell us
proud of
about the
you.
book. People that don't know, they need to get it. But let the
Sure.
people know.
Okay, so I'm ROSHANDA Pratt. Some people know me in the digital streets as the Rose Show Live. I'm a former television news producer turned communication strategist and speaker. And really, I built my brand doing much of what we're doing here, which is using live stream so you can be seen, heard, and paid. And so, from the years of what I've learned, 20 years working behind the scenes as a television news producer and working building a brand here in these digital streets for the past 7 years, I wrote a book called CEO of Live Video. And it's a step by step instruction on how you can use live video to build a brand and your expertise. And CEO actually is an acronym. A lot of people don't know this: connect, engage, make an offer. So those are the things that you can do when you're on live stream. So this talks about everything from storytelling to building a thriving brand, why you should use live stream, all the things. And I'm excited, Camille, when I hear from people like you who say, ROSHANDA, I read the book, I'm implementing the things. Oh my gosh, this is so much easier. Oh my gosh, I didn't know I can do X, Y, and Z. That really does empower me and know that my labor is not in vain.
Absolutely not. And then me learning how to maximize versus the short term and long term content because
Yeah.
I didn't know that until we had the conversation. And since then, growing my digital catalog on YouTube because you told me
Hmm.
that just takes one, but they're going to consume everything. And so I've been quietly, as I say, building that arsenal of short term and long term content,
Yeah.
and it's going to pay off.
Yes, because the thing that we have to understand in this space, we're going to go ahead and get right into this. This is kind of jumping into our topic tonight.
Yes.
Is all of us have to understand that you are not being social on social media. If you are a content creator, a thought leader, an expert, a business owner, a leader, and you're using these platforms, whatever platform of choice, to put your thought leadership out in the world, I want to tell you, friend, that you are not being social. What you are doing actually is building your own media network.
Like a
Much of
station.
yeah, just like a station. You have your own affiliate, NBC, Fox News, CBS, whatever your choice is. You are building your own network. Now, take it from the television news producer of 20 years. What I've learned is many of the terms and language and things that we do now to create video are the things that I was doing 20 years working behind the scenes as a television news producer. If you ever sat down at your desk and said to yourself, okay, I want to talk to my audience today. What content do I want to post today or create this week? That's you having a media meeting. See, every morning, news stations across the country have a morning meeting to discuss what do our people need to know? What is it that people are already talking about that we need to give them information for about? If you call your followers your audience, that's the same terms that we use in television news. You know that short form video that you create and it's 20, 30 seconds in length? That's the average watch time of a soundbite on television. So I'm just here to tell you, I know that we use the word content creator, but you're really a producer. And that's really what I teach my clients to do, Camille. And what you'll get out of this book is how to think like a producer,
That's
because
amazing.
we have to get away from being consumers and get into being producers, because the producers are the ones that are seen, heard, and paid.
That's that is so awesome. Y'all, if you have not gotten her book, you need to do so. I have a copy. And it's not something you can just breeze through. You literally have to go through a section or a chapter and digest it. There's homework assignments and things and activities, things you have to do. So it's not just reading, but it's an active read.
Mm,
And you'll get to one part and then you'll say, okay, I did that. Let me go to something else. And they're enrolled, will tell you for a while, I'll kinda shied away from some of the things, right? I shied away
mm,
from doing live streams. I shied away from doing more reels. But with her and a couple other people in my ear, it's like, "You know what? I need to do this." And long term, I'm starting to see like, "Okay, that makes sense now," because people want to know who you are, and that's why I started the Bougie Black Girl Files series on my TikTok, because that
mhm.
lets people know more about me as far as things I like,
Correct.
um, favorite perfume or type of coffee, because people like, "Oh, I like her as a podcaster," but they wanna know you're a real person.
For sure. I mean, this age of AI and all of these things, people need at least 7 hours of content before they even consider buying from you. 7 hours. I remember a couple of years ago, we had a content tour where we were going to specific cities. People would fly in, meet us there, and we would create content in real time. And one of the ladies who met us, I believe was the Charlotte stop, she said to me, I watched one video of yours on YouTube, and 2 hours later, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't just keep watching over and over and over again. And so, having that library of content, having that network of content is what really separates you from everyone else, because now people can be able to see your presentation skills for those who desire to be a speaker. They can see your interview skills for those who desire to have a sponsored show. People can see how you put content together. If you want to work on putting content together for a brand like LinkedIn Learning, people get to see that through your content. And so content opens the door to so many things, because get this, Camille, content is the new way to communicate.
Absolutely. And I do all those things
Yes.
because I do everything. I produce, write. It's like I'm the Tyler Perry of my life, written, directed, started. I
Not the
do,
Tyler Perry. I love it.
yes, publish. I publish, distribute my podcast. I every content, the graphics, the email
Mhm.
correspondence, everything. So
Yes.
lots of skills, and that translates well if you are good at writing as far as resume building.
Yes. Yeah. There's nothing wasted when you're creating content. I've seen so many doors that have opened for me in so many different ways through creating a live stream and turning that into short form video. It's just been amazing what has transpired. And I'm just thinking, like, wow, does everybody not know this? There's so many great opportunities.
Great opportunities. One of the
Yes.
things I want to get into with tonight's conversation, Ro. First of all, if you had not done so, don't be strange and weirdo. Come in here and speak. We say hello.
Correct.
We speak. We need you to lean on the share button. Tag 2 or 3 people. 5 will be great, and share this conversation. Um, one of the things I want to say to you, Ro, and we were talking about this earlier. The state of where we are now as a nation, and things are happening, and we've seen the exit of Joy Reid and other people,
Mhm.
and it makes me think more than ever how important it is for us as Black people that we have our digital spaces, we control our narratives,
Mm.
the storytelling, social media, the content that we create, the content we distribute in our messaging. So can you kind of unpack for the listeners and viewers, if not any other time has been critical, right now it's probably one of the most critical times in the world of media history, Black
Yes.
history, and American history for us to really lock in the digital space as creative
Yeah.
people.
I love that we're having this conversation because for so long I've been shouting from the rooftops and really taking my own advice in the sense that we don't own any of these platforms, right? You put your stuff on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever. You don't own any of those platforms. You are a renter in that space, which means that any day the owner could come in and evict you. And we have seen so many stories of that happening to the Shade Room, where they were accused of a copyright violation. They had all of these thousands of followers and lost it, and they didn't have an email list in order to still connect to those people. And then we see what happened over the weekend with Joy Reid, with her being removed from MSNBC. There's been some speculation that MSNBC's numbers dropped in December, more than half after the election. And then so they're saying, hey, you're just not making the numbers, let it go. Other people have other speculations. Here's the thing that we have to understand as Black creatives: it is almost akin to what we saw with our ancestors who would create products and couldn't get copyright, couldn't get trademarks, they couldn't get the the respect that they deserve for something they created. And that means we have to learn from history and not allow it to repeat itself. And what does that mean? The gatekeepers are gone, and that means that we now have more and more stake that we can command people to respect what we create. That means we have more opportunity for ownership, right? Which means I've seen stories of people who are selling catalogs of their YouTube content, that you can license content, you can create digital courses. Now, much of what we're doing right here, you don't even have to have a show on a network. I mean, one of my favorite people, he's not African American, but I think it bears witness to the conversation that we're having, is John LeGreer. John is the former CEO of T-Mobile. And every Sunday, he used to host a show on Facebook called Slow Cooker Sunday. He was sharing his favorite crock pot recipes in his magenta T-Mobile colored kitchen. John, every now and then, while he's showing you his favorite crock pot recipe, he would talk about new products T-Mobile was rolling out, and he would talk about maybe what's happening in the communication space, but mostly he was sharing his favorite crock pot recipes. And one person interviewed John. This is going to bless you if you hear what I'm saying from this example. Ask John, the CEO of T-Mobile, why are you on Facebook on a Sunday with a chef's hat, sharing your favorite crock pot recipes? And this is what he said. John said, I did it because I knew no other CEO in my industry would be willing to be that transparent and vulnerable. I did it because I knew no other CEO would step out of their office and step in front of the camera. And as the result, this is what John said, we had more numbers on Facebook than some of our commercials that were running nationally.
Wow.
Be like John. So what I'm saying is we're at a pivotal point now in history where you literally can control your narrative, Own your narrative. Be intentional about how you show up and how people need to treat your content. I mean, we saw Don Lemon was fired from CNN. Now he has his own show on YouTube,
Right on TikTok, getting
right?
all the views.
All the views. We saw what happened to Roland Martin. Roland Martin was ousted. What happened? He went and created his own network and his own channel with
Doing well.
sponsors and everything and doing well. And so I think what we have to understand as a people that we have to take ownership of what we create and almost be dogmatic about the fact of I create this content and you don't get the fact to try to censor me in what I create or try to minimize what I'm doing. So if I'm creating a podcast, okay, how can we get more life out of that podcast? How can we get sponsors for this podcast? I'm doing a live stream show. I used to have a weekly live stream show and we had sponsors.
And I don't want sponsors. Like I'm
Right.
in a space now where it's time for me to garner sponsorship. And it's like, how do I do that? How do I go about doing that? So
Well,
because
here's
I'm
the
at that
thing.
point where I need sponsorship.
Well, I'm going to give you the key right here. One of the things I think we as a people, and my friend Ron Harvey said this to me a couple of weeks ago. He says, Rashonda, as a people, we do not do a good job in working within our own network. Those sponsors for my live show weren't new relationships I was trying to build. I worked with the business owners I already had a relationship with. Hey, I'm doing this show. Here's my sponsor kit. You know who I am. You've watched the show. You've been on the show. Are you willing to be a sponsor? If we're talking about really, truly doing community, okay, this is so good. Like this is blessing me. And
Spill the tea, bro. Let's do
I know
it.
Natalie is here taking notes. Sis, quote me on this. We love to talk about doing community in the Black community, and a lot of times that's lip service. We got to talk about doing community when it comes to cash. Community, cash. We have to talk about doing community when it comes to supporting and sponsoring another Black business owner. We have to talk about doing community beyond just walking the streets, and there's nothing wrong with that. Crying out loud when there's injustice on social media, there's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, it's the dollars that move it. My favorite Native American proverb says, those that tell the stories rule the world. Those that tell the stories rule the world. And if we want to dominate as a community and be respected as a people, we got to remember how to circulate our dollars. I read once that the Black dollar stays in our community less than 24 hours. In other communities, it's a week, it's a year. We have to just not talk about it, but put our money where our mouth is.
Absolutely. Ro, you dropped so many bars. And those that are not familiar with you, she does this every time she comes. Every time Auntie Ro pulls up, she lets us have it. So what I need you to do right now, I need you to lean on the share button, tag some people right now. Don't make me start snapping like past the mark. Let's go. Let's do it, right? And let's make this happen because this is a very powerful conversation. And so, Ro, with you working with NBC, and we're seeing things like you mentioned, Roland Martin, Joy Reid, Don Lemon, even the dissipation of BET News. I remember as a little girl, I used to love watching BET News nightly. Tavis Smiley, Joy Reid, Ed Gordon, because these were Black faces telling our news, our stories with our voices, and it wasn't always just the bad stuff, but the good stuff. And so, like, what if we had BET News nightly now?
Yeah.
You know?
This is one of the things that I think we have to think about. I often talk to people about the threats to your visibility. That while you're showing up, you have to think about what are the threats to my visibility. If I'm building on this one platform, a threat to the visibility is I may show up the next day and this platform is not there. We all saw that happen with TikTok. I mean,
Instagram
24 hours.
Facebook has crashed. We've
all
seen
of those things, right?
Yes.
And so we have to think about what are the threats to visibility? Because think about it, Camille. I don't think it's coincidental that we had Hillman Talk and then that was gone. And all this woman was doing was coming on and educating people about things that African American people need to know. And so this is the thing we have to understand. If there are fractions of people who are trying to silence us, then where do our people go to make sure that they're not silenced anymore? Where is the BET to come in and say, no, this was a great series. Hey, let's see how we can put that on our air or our channel. You create the content for us and we pay you. Listen, I should have had it. We pay you, not an exposure, but we pay you because here's the thing. We have to pay someone anyway to create content. Why not pay you, sis? We got to do it anyway.
Pay me.
Right. And so looking at those things, and I think as a community and people thinking about like, how can I do it? Here's one way that I do this, not in just the people that I do business with, right? But also when it comes to even pictures. So one of my VAs is overseas and she was creating a graphic for me to share on social media, a series of graphics, and there was no representation. And I talked to her about it and I said, here's the thing you have to understand. My audience is diverse. So if you want to have Becky on this flyer, that's totally fine. But I also need to see Tamika. I need to see Tammy. I need to see Rashonda, right? This has to be diverse. We have to see people who look like us on my presentation, stock images. So you know what we did? We took it even a step further, Camille. Not only just talking to the VA, but we made it one of our company SOPs. That way, anybody who comes in the space understands this is where we don't compromise.
Absolutely. And that was one of the reasons why I expanded my digital reach beyond just podcasting. And I started
Yeah.
creating stock elements and images for us. So if you go to my website, CamilleEssex.com, I have a curvy girl collection. I have soft girl life collection. I have things for Black men. And it's
Wow.
constantly growing. Yes. And so, because as digital creatives, we need images, right? And so when you
Yes.
go to my website and you click on creative tools and stock elements, you'll see I've started a catalog and I've been quietly putting those things out there and saying, hey, if you need content reels, if you need covers, if you need Instagram templates, go to my website and get that. And you can drop in different things because there's a need. A lot of times when we see what I call the baddie image, we're not all a size 6. We're not all a size 8. And so one of my
Right.
things was the curvy girls, they need representation too. So I have beautiful stock elements and images there for our curvy sisters. Black men need more representation. And one of the reasons with the podcast, when I was creating the speaker podcast and thinking about the tagline and the motto was like the speaker podcast where innovators and creators connect. But what do we talk about? And I was like, okay, we talk about topics and issues impacting the community and the culture.
Yes. Well, here's
And
the thing.
yeah.
I'm gonna challenge you. I need you not to be quiet about that anymore. Because while we're sitting here trying to do a Google search or trying to pay another company, you already have the answer. So I need you to make that a part of. Like I know you do an ad here inside your podcast. I need you to create an ad about that. Because I can't begin to tell you how many times I've been in communities and people are saying, we can't find stock images and we can't even use AI because AI still doesn't recognize. But you already have the answer. This
Bro
is why
always giving me homework.
I am always, because this is why being the best kept secret is the best kept lie. People
Yes,
are out here looking for what you already have. That's for Camille, but that's for everybody who's watching.
yeah, y'all see how every time she gives me homework, y'all. So and that's something else I want you to touch on, Ro, as far as we kind of shy away from, oh, I posted about that already. I don't want to get on, but then Sephora or Ulta will email you.
Or Fashion Nova. Girl, I messed around and ordered a Sweet 16 dress from them. And so I had to get on their email list. It was 3 to 4 emails a day.
Shein is like the text messages is crazy.
Because you know why they do that? They believe they're the best option. So why would I not tell you? We sit
Absolutely.
here and we create this whole thing in our head, like people are gonna get tired of hearing it, but people didn't hear it the first time. People forgot about it. They need to be reminded. I mean, the late Dr. Miles Monroe said people need to hear what you have to say, your message, at least 7 times. 7 times. And so you put it out there once and you're like, okay, I did it already. Maybe twice. I don't want people to feel a certain way and not understand that people just need to be reminded. They may have forgotten or they just didn't see it, especially when these algorithms are algorithming.
Shadow ban is a real thing.
It
Like,
is. I've experienced it.
me
And
too.
so, yeah, and I was like in a timeout at one point in time, just all the things. And so, again, this goes back to why we need to build off of some of these platforms and really lean into building a community, building an email list, because then you can blast those people. That's why Fashion Nova was sending me, 4 emails a day because they were like, oh, sis already bought a dress. She's a part of our community. So we will send her more things like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, as a writer, when we look at the longevity of good writing and good content,
Hmm.
like one of my shows right now is A Different World. I
Yeah.
love A Different World. I watch it like I've never seen it before, but watching it because it's so good, it's
Hmm.
timeless. It has survived so many other shows that got canceled in one season, and now another generation's being reintroduced via Netflix, right?
Hmm.
So, can you talk to Ro as far as how good content lasts?
That's such a great example. I was telling you when we were talking before the show about how last week was the longest week ever. And I was like, I need a ha a kiki, and I was
Yes,
watching old Martin episodes like they were new. And I think that's the beauty of really great content. It's evergreen, it's timeless, it's not dated, it doesn't age, it's still good. This is why I stand 10 toes down in that if you created a really good piece of content 30 days ago and you saw that people were riding hard for it, they loved it, they liked it, they were fangirling over it, okay, repurpose it again, put it back out there again. Th- they'll never know. Remember that trending sound? They'll
we
never
never
know.
know.
Put it back out there again. I mean, I did that with content, and people were like, "Oh, Rashana, this was a good reminder. Thank you for reminding me." And so I think we get so locked into thinking we have to do everything from scratch, and not realize nothing is wasted. And you can put it back out there again, especially when your community has shown you that it's good content. I grew up off of A Different World, and now it's on Netflix. Like, what? Great content is timeless. This is why I'm not a big fan on, going viral, going viral. Viral has its advantages, but 9 times out of 10, a lot of people who are going viral are not even prepared for it. And number two, after they go viral, they don't have any more relevance. This is why I tell people strive for being relevant because that's always in fashion. You will never disappear when you are constantly staying relevant. Want a practical example of that? Tabitha Brown. She stays relevant, and that's what makes her viral.
Yes. And then the money that was at the money reside, it
Oh,
lasted.
yeah. Where the money resides, where the money resides.
Everybody was coming out of Hondas for a hot minute and
Oh, for
then
sure.
and then it went away. But it's like what you were saying, being viral versus having long form content and having longevity. And that's why, the conversations and you've gotten on to me about some things on and offline, but implementing those things now, and looking at my catalog just on YouTube, but
Mm,
then not just depending on that and having the streaming platform with iHeart and Spotify and all those streaming spaces, but
yeah.
then having my website because I need a home. Because if those things go away, I can still direct you to my website. You told me it's like we are crossing guards or traffic, directing traffic. You have to
Yes.
direct people to you and say, this way, stop, come. And it's so true. And so you have to set up multiple avenues where people can reach you. And you also told me once you do go viral, it's not just you going viral, they're going to consume everything you've ever created.
They will. They will.
And so that's why the long form content matters.
It does, because I think there's a beauty in short form, right? Our attention spans are getting shorter, but people want more, and we're seeing that where people are just like, you only gave me 15 seconds of that, 45 seconds of that. That's why YouTube is still relevant, because it's longer form video and people get an opportunity to learn more about you, to engage more about you with you, and to learn more about your thought leadership on a particular topic.
Yes. And I know, and everyone has the right to create whatever, but because of the direction we're going now, just as a society, people want healthy content because
Yeah.
the news is so negative, it's so heavy. People will spend hours looking at dogs and babies
And
or
cats. Yeah.
cats, just animal videos or cooking or Tabitha Brown or something about how to counter negativity. I think what is it? One of the most searched for terms during the pandemic was depression and anxiety, right?
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
now we're seeing mental health circling back around again. And so, yes, you can do the celebrity gossip, whatever, but to really be authentic as a creative, whether if your thing is makeup tips or cooking or reviewing products, people want they want the warm fuzzy.
Yeah. I think because people want to, this is why people like watch reality shows, right? It's not reality, and it helps them to escape their reality. And
Yes,
so since being in this online space for about over 7 years, I've always had this thought, and I want to make my corner of the internet better, whatever my corner of the internet looks like. And I think it's taking a cue from the news, because those last couple of years of me working in the news, we also had this thought of people wanting more good news. So you'll even see some news programs at the end of their show, or somewhere in the beginning, middle of their show, they'll say, "Hey, time for some good news," because they know we just gave you all this death, gloom, and destruction. People want like something that's upbeat. And I think we're in that space where people desperately need hope, desperately need something to look forward to. They need it.
absolutely. It goes by so fast. We are wrapping up this conversation. Before we do you have any gems, nuggets, or takeaways that you would like to live with the listeners and viewers? And then also where people can contact you on social media. And then if you have anything coming up, what's new, what's popping, and also where people can get your book.
Okay, awesome. I'll leave you with this. We're in a space where I've often told people you no longer have the right to remain silent. Your silence isn't golden. Visibility is power, and you deserve to be seen, heard, and paid. We're in a space where people are feeling like they have to say something about DEI. They have to say something about what's going on in our country, in the world. They have to say something about the latest soundbite or just the injustices that are happening in the world. And I do believe that this is not a time for us to be silent as a people. But I want to encourage you. Every topic is not meant for you to respond to. There is a field that we all are called to, right? I've been crying out about what's happening as far as our government with the media not allowing the AP to come into the White House and some other things, right? I've been talking about that. Why? Because 20 years working in television media, right? But what I'm seeing is happening in the space that people want to talk about a lot of things and all of these things, and it's really not their lane. And so they become overwhelmed, they become weary, they feel the pressure that they have to say something. And all I'm saying is you can say something, but make sure it's your lane. Make sure that you know that God is saying to you, I want you to speak on this. And here's why I say this. Your assignment, what you're called to do, already has enough devils attached to it.
Say that again for the people in the back, please.
Your assignment, your purpose that God has created for you since you were in your mother's womb already has enough devils attached to it. And many of us are opening up the door because we're going on fields speaking about stuff that is not your assignment.
And then
Now,
you're
am I
attracting warfare that doesn't belong to you.
correct? And am I saying that this means you don't pay attention to what's going on, that you remain muted? I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, in this time when there's so much noise, so much sound bites, I want you to carefully consider, please, sir, please, ma'am, carefully consider what you are supposed to be saying. Carefully consider what is your assignment and focusing on that. Because what you don't understand or realize is focusing on your assignment really is combating injustice. You can find me on social media, specifically Instagram at The Rose Show Live. And then, of course, I'm hanging out on LinkedIn. Love LinkedIn. You can come hang out with me at ROSHANDA E. Pratt, my name right there. You can get my book, CEO of Live Video, on Amazon or any major book retailer. You can get that book there, CEO of Live Video. And right now, one of the things that we're doing is we're doing a 90-day sprint with leaders, female leaders, and a couple of brave men who are already content creators, but they really want to get a consistent strategy that really positions their area of expertise and them as a thought leader. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, we are wrapping up our first round with 7 dynamic women. I can't wait for you all to hear their stories and their journey. If you are ready to kick that off in Q2, send me a DM. Slide in the DMs. This is the time y'all can slide in the DMs, because sometimes y'all slide in these DMs and I want you to slide out. But you can slide the DMs for this to find out about the sprint. I'd love an opportunity to work with you.
Absolutely. And I want to bring you back also later on this year, just breaking down the connectivity of LinkedIn. It's been an
Yeah.
awkward space for me, and I don't think people really don't understand like how LinkedIn really is the plug
Yes.
and the do's and don'ts of LinkedIn, but how LinkedIn really can be the plug to take your career from a professional standpoint, whether if you're a creative entrepreneur or someone that's a C-suite person, a personality to the next level. So
Yes.
that's something I definitely would love to have you back on.
I
Just
would
to have
love
that
to come back and talk about that, because LinkedIn is the new it girl, and LinkedIn really is not what it was 10 years ago. It really
okay.
isn't. There's
Because
a
I
lot
was
of great things happening. And one of the
uh,
great things that's happening on LinkedIn is now you can post a video. I had a video that had 177,000 impressions.
wow.
Video is happening on LinkedIn. They have a video tab on LinkedIn. So there's some great things happening. So yes, bring me back and let's talk about it.
Definitely. LinkedIn has frustrated me where I was really utilizing it, and then I backed off because they were like, if you really want to navigate in the career space and go to the next level, but I just, even though I have a 5-star
Mhm.
rating on LinkedIn, it just was not doing what I was told it would do. And so
Yeah.
I've backed off. And so maybe I need to jump in and try again. I don't
You need
know.
to jump in and try again, and let's talk about it,
Yep.
because I think sometimes you can have a block if you're already going in mentally like this is not for me. But once
God.
you lean in, I've made some great connections. I've even had my first corporate client on LinkedIn. One of our students changed her LinkedIn bio, and either the same day or the next day, someone reached out to her to come speak at an event.
Wow. We definitely need to have a conversation just
Yes.
because um when I see how people show up present on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
everyone's like, "Oh, I'm the director of such and such, and I'm the CEO of such and such." And it's, at least from when I saw it through my lens, it was so boxy and so tight and not a
Mhm.
lot of room for personality. And the times I've hopped on, I've seen more casual, business casual posts, if we can use that term.
Yeah.
But I'm still like, I don't know. It
It's my
just seems
favorite place to be, Camille. Like, when I start my day, I used to come to Facebook first, Instagram. I go to LinkedIn first.
Okay.
And I mean, I just really enjoy the community and conversations happening there. So
Definitely.
yeah,
I
good
know I
stuff happening
follow a
there.
few HBCUs. I follow Black Girl Tech. I follow a lot of Black executives, attorneys, people I've gone to college with, and just
Mhm.
really try to reach out in those spaces. But we definitely need to bring you back and let's pick that apart and pick your brain because I think that would be a
Yes.
great conversation.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. Camila's always so proud of you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much for elevating the voices of innovators and creators. It's just amazing to see how you continue to grow this. And I'm so excited about your future.
Thank you. Keep praying for me because people
Always.
don't understand what happens behind the scenes.
Yeah,
It's not easy. So thank you so much. I
you're
appreciate it.
welcome. Always.
Awesome. Well, everybody, we made it through another episode of the Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast where innovators and critics connect. Be sure to follow me online. You can contact me via Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. If you go to my Instagram, I made it very simple. I have a link. It goes to my LinkedIn, and all of the things are there. And I would love to hear from you. You can also send me an email at thespeakerpodcast@gmail.com. And also, this is the last episode for the month of February. It just went by so fast.
Yes, it did.
It went by really fast. And so I was like, how else could we just end it with a bang than other than Auntie Rose? So thank you, Rose,
I
so much.
love it. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you to everybody who's watching on your platform and some of my friends who are watching. Natalie Gregg shouting you out. She's amazing, a person to follow on LinkedIn. She was doing a lot of the live tweeting of our conversation. Thank you for being here.
Wow.
Ronnie
Thank
Steele
you.
says, great takeaways. Glad that you were here. Natalie says, great nuggets. So thank you all so much for being here and being a part of the conversation. Appreciate you
And
guys.
Natalie, I would love to connect with you on LinkedIn. If you find me and reach out, I'll follow you back. I promise I will.
She's a
So
great person to connect. Yes.
thank you. And everyone, I'll be blessed. If you have not done so, subscribe to my website. And we are going to release very soon in the next few days our March lineup. We have some great things coming up, some familiar faces and a couple of new faces. So it'll be really, really good. With that, being said, this is Camille Essick. I'm host of the Speaker Podcast, the podcast where innovators and critics connect. Y'all be blessed. Good night. Hold on, bro. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Speaker Podcast. Be sure to follow Camille on Instagram at camille.essick, Facebook at the Speaker Podcast, or